Republican Senator Tim Scott, South Carolina, joins us now. Senator, good morning to you, and thank you for your time today.
Good morning, Bill.
Got a lot to go through here.
Yes,
Let's use that as a jumping off point. Is this something that you could get behind?
You know, as a kid who grew up making less than the minimum wage, who became an employer who paid more than the minimum wage, I do like Cotton and Romney's approach. First, it starts after the pandemic. Second, the increase is slower than the Biden plan. And then finally, they make sure that American workers are not discriminated against. Those are three powerful pillars that we should focus on. Most importantly, we should recognize that in the middle of this pandemic, killing another 2 to 4 million jobs on top of millions of jobs lost during the pandemic is not common sense anywhere in America. So we need to avoid eliminating jobs in the middle of the pandemic. And Bill, something else that's really important for us to recognize. 1% of adults 25 and older make the minimum wage. 5% of adults have more than one job. So focusing and targeting the type of relief that we want to bring to the American worker is really important to understand the plight of the American worker. And that 1% that makes the minimum wage, about 2/3 of those folks are in the food and beverage business, meaning they have tips that take them, Dana, beyond the minimum wage. Really important information that has not been analyzed. I thank Senators Cotton and Romney for working on this very important issue.
Don't you think that President Biden, if he were able to, get this done in the way that would be common sense, seems to me he would almost agree with you and Romney and Cotton, but the progressives are pushing him in a very different direction.
No doubt about it, Dana. When you look at the left wing of the left party, AOC and others, and Bernie Sanders demanding not only $15 minimum wage, but they want to then index it to higher wages every single day. If they would remember the fact that more than $2 trillion of America's payroll could be automated today, they would recognize that they are supporting the permanent destruction of jobs, especially entry-level jobs where women and minorities consistently find themselves having a chance to get started in the American dream.
Yeah, I'm going to move
to
this Trump statement from yesterday in a moment here, but I'm just reading your quote from a few days ago about the situation here in New York. Call for two, guys. Last week, every Senate Democrat voted against my amendment, these are your words now, to hold states like New York accountable for misreporting data on COVID-19 related nursing home deaths. Now we find out the truth. It's unacceptable, and those involved must be held accountable. Is it going to go that way?
It needs to go that way. I'm so thankful that we see Democrats in New York standing up against the governor, maybe even looking for ways to impeach him. The bottom line is a very simple one. If you think about the fact that the deaths in the nursing homes are over 40% and underreported in a state like New York only means that we don't have the right data to direct the response that could save more lives. And I believe it was New York that sent COVID patients back in to nursing homes. So we need a full vetting of what actually happened. It is in the best interest of our adults.
Thousands. Every Senate Democrat voted against your amendment to hold states like New York accountable. Well, we're going to hang on to that. Dana,
we also want to talk about this. So President Trump, former President Trump, issued a statement last night on one of your colleagues, Senate Minority Leader now, Mitch McConnell, saying the Republican Party can never again be respected or strong with political quote-unquote leaders like Senator Mitch McConnell at its helm. Mitch is a dour, sullen, and unsmiling political hack, and if Republican senators are going to stay with him, they will not win again. Senator, what do you think?
I've often said that President Trump's love language does not include words of encouragement, and perhaps that spat only reinforces that fact. The truth is, for the Republican Party to win, we need every single Republican-leaning voter to take a look at the GOP, the Great Opportunity Party, and why we have the right principles and policies to move this nation forward. If we get into personality squibbles and fights, we are going to be in a challenging place in 2022 and 2024, which means America will be embracing socialism because we can't get our act together on the right.
How much do you need President Trump in 2022?
I still believe that President Trump is the most powerful political figure on either side. The news loves President Trump or they hate President Trump, which gives them plenty of coverage. What we need is, in fact, a unified message from the Republican Party. We don't need personalities driving our future. The policy positions of President Trump led to the lowest unemployment rates for African Americans, Hispanics, Asians, for women in 70 years. What we need is more President Trump policies that focused on an inclusive economy, focused on HBCU funding, focused on the lowest tax rates we've seen in a generation that led to the fastest increase in employment and in wages at the bottom faster than the top, because President Trump's policy positions literally transformed the American economy. That is what's at stake in the future. Do we want a private sector driven by economic mobility and opportunity, or do we want a private sector driven by socialism and control from Washington, D.C.?
Can I ask you also about this back and forth about reopening schools? The CDC sort of altering its guidance in order to shoehorn to make sure that the unions will be able to accept it, but even then it's not happening. What about inner city students in several of our major cities across America who are not being well served right now?
Well, there's no doubt that it looks like perhaps the teachers' unions will even run the CDC if we're not careful. What we're seeing in inner city kids today is that 11 months out of the classroom is devastating for their future earning potential, and it eliminates the ability to catch up while they're in K through 12. Said differently, if we want to look at a way to destroy the economic potential of minority communities throughout this country, let's keep kids out of school even longer. 31% increase in kids going to the ER for emotional reasons and challenges. That's black kids, white kids, brown kids, yellow kids, all kids. A 62% increase in nonprofits getting calls around ADHD. In other words, our kids are being devastated. All kids. And when you look at the suicide increase in our kids, we have to take seriously the importance of a child being back in school, because it saves lives, it educates the future of America, and it improves the outcome for families who are literally at their wits' end trying to be homeschool teachers, and for single mothers, go to work.
Or
that
losing their
is
jobs.
a terrible recipe.
Indeed. Senator Tim Scott, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you all.